Last year, I visited Germany in the summer, and while I was applying for my visa, I casually asked the VFS officer whether there was any way I could get a visa with a longer validity, which would then save me the trouble of applying again if I wanted to travel next year. He said no, there isn't any separate category, but you can request them on the same form, and it's really up to them. They might give it to you. It's a bit arbitrary like that. And after he gave me that tip, I just took a pen and I wrote. It was actually quite a cheesy letter. I was like, "Dear visa officer, it would be so nice if you could give me a longer visa this time, so that I could go see the Christmas markets in December and soak in the German way and the German Christmas spirit, and it would really mean so much to me." It was this was actually the tone. All I didn't do was draw two hearts and a smiley, but it was that simple a request compared to the formal polite tone of the rest of my covering letter. And I said danke and something, and when I got my passport back, I actually had a multiple entry visa, which was valid for a year, even though my application form was for a single visit visa. I guess someone in the Bombay German embassy was very amused and feeling generous. Anyway, so that was in the summer, and that trip was really nice. Then in October, I was fired from my job, and not in a nice way, and I was very, very upset about it. But then I thought, oh, now I can take a second holiday, and I don't have to apply for leave, and I don't have to rush back. And so although I was really upset, I was very distracted with planning this second trip. And it was really exciting because this was the first time I'd be visiting Europe in the winter, and not just winter, Christmas winter. So I was super excited. While planning the trip, I soon learned that as exquisite as the German markets are, and as festive and special as they are, by the 23rd, Germany shuts down and goes into hibernation. So 23rd, 24th, 25th, and I think even 26th, it's all dead. I mean, everyone is inside their homes and celebrating with their families. So in this context, I read that Paris is the complete opposite. They celebrate Christmas on the street, outside the house, and it is anyway the city of lights, but at Christmas it becomes even more the city of lights, because every street and department store and hotel and bridge, everything is decorated with lights beautifully for Christmas. And I have always saved Paris for later, for something special, or for, I don't know, I've just always saved it. Oh, not this time I'll just go here, but Paris is some other time in life. But then I thought this was a really nice way to whet my appetite and just quickly see Paris, just get a taste of it and then go back later. So I booked train tickets from Stuttgart to Paris for 23rd of December. Do you know what was happening in Paris on 23rd of December? The French transport strikes in full swing. Basically the strikes were about retirement age. The retirement age had been raised to 63 years. 63 sounds normal for us, but the railway workers and the railway drivers' argument is that theirs is a physically demanding and stressful job, and they work really hard compared to people who work in desk jobs, and that they got into the profession expecting that they would be able to retire at 54 and then spend the rest of their lives in comfort, or at least in rest. And then Macron's government did this as an austerity measure, and that's what they were striking about, amongst other things. There were other reasons as well, but this was a big reason. And when I was in Germany on the 21st and 22nd, 23rd April, was like, why are you mad going to Paris? Don't go there. The transport strikes are bad, because the news had been showing it repeatedly and the images were not very nice. I think there was also a little bit of, what are they called? Demonstrations, and things got a little violent as well. Anyway, I met one French girl on 22nd evening. She was not French, she was German, but she lived in Paris. She was a music critic, and we were both waiting for tickets for a show. But she said, "Ooh, that's brave of you to travel to Paris." And then she said, "You know what? If you're willing to rough it out, go. It's a good time to go and see the city, because striking is as much a part of Paris as everything else." That was a very nice conversation, and I'm still in touch with her. Julia, her name is. Anyway, so on 23rd, I turned up at the station, and sure enough, my train had been cancelled. This was the 5-hour direct train from Stuttgart to Paris, and I was really disappointed. But after a lot of back and forth, and everybody that day was so irritated because a lot of trains had been cancelled. But anyway, they finally said, your ticket is still valid for the journey. If you can find trains to reach Paris, you can get on them, but your train has been cancelled. And so they gave me an alternative itinerary, which would then be 2 trains. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. 2 trains and 6 hours or 7 hours. It was a slightly longer journey. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Thank you so much. By the time I reached that middle station, the connecting train had been cancelled. Then I went to the desk, and then they rerouted my trip. Then I had 2 more trains to catch, not just 1 more. And then by the time I reached the next station, that next train had been cancelled. In the end, I took 4 different trains, and not in a straight line, in a very inefficient manner. And each time, it was at the discretion of the ticket collector. If he allowed me to get onto the train, then I would be allowed to travel. So anyway, each time I was like, please let me go. I really have to be in Paris by tomorrow. And then he said, oh, you're single? Just one. I was like, yeah, just one. Like, okay, come on, get on to the train. And then at the last station, 2-3 trains kept getting cancelled. And I had waited for about 3 hours, and I thought, okay, I don't think I'm going to... realistically, it's already 8 o'clock. I don't think I'm going to be able to travel tonight. So then I started finding out where there were places to stay overnight, and then I tried tomorrow again. But then, of course, things are very exciting. And then finally there was one train, it was announced, and they said it'll leave at 8:30 or something. And when the train came, it was so crowded, and there were so many people waiting to get on it. But there were also a lot of families with a lot of luggage. So, 6 or 7 people with so much luggage. The railway officer was like, no, you won't be able to travel. And then I went up and I said, oh, I'm just one. Can I get on, please? And he said, okay, you if you're just one, you can get on. But I guarantee you there's not a single seat on this train. And you can go sit in the dining car. But I can guarantee you that there's no place on the floor of the dining car. So if you're willing to stand there in a corner, feel free to get onto the train. And I was like, oh yes, of course. And then I was very happy and I jumped onto the train. And this is the dining car. And of course they had shut down the food and beverages. And people were sitting on top of the counters. And there was literally no space to walk. By the time I took the picture, I think things had started clearing up. People went and stood at different places. But when I entered it, it was really a sight. One man came and spoke to a couple who were sitting next to me. And he whispered to them in English. He said, be discreet. There are seats in first class. So you can go and sit there if you want because they're not occupied. And then, of course, the couple were very happy and they went off. And then I was like, okay, I have heard this. I have heard it, so I should also make use of it. And so I went first class, and goodness, first class was super plush. It was just all so elegant because there were these little lamps next to each seat, and the people who were sitting there just looked so elegant, and I looked terribly out of place. But the seats were so comfortable after a really long day. Then there was an announcement. It was in German, but everyone translates for you, which said basically that they have attached extra cars to this train. Anyone who doesn't have a seat can go and find a seat in these newly attached trains. So there's enough place for everybody. By the time it was translated to me, I thought it was a little late. And the whole day, I had just been in this mental mode of running from this platform to that platform, then from that platform to the information counter. And I was so tense about missing my train that I got down from the train, I started running on the platform. And then by now, this station was Strasbourg, which is on the border of France and Germany. So now Deutsche Bahn, German train, handed it over to SNCF or SNCF or something, the French operator. So now the guards were no longer the German guards, they were the French guards. And I was running on the platform, and then this one person, he stopped me. He was very young actually, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Stop, don't run. This train is waiting for you to go and find your seat. And I am the one who will tell the train when to leave. So breathe and just walk to your seat." And then I smiled. And actually, I'm translating all of this. I have no idea what he said. He said it all in French, but he said it so beautifully and so gently. And then he's like, "Come, let me take your..." He took my bag and he's like, "Come, I'll walk you." Then I got into the train, and it was mostly empty. I think everybody preferred the first class seats. And then the train slowly pulled out of the station, and then this officer and I very shyly waved at each other. We were grinning, but actually I was just really excited that I was finally going to Paris. And I kept looking at my map, how that little blue dot moves, and each time I was like, wow, I'm nearing Paris. I can't believe it. It was damn exciting. And there's more stories. When I reached Paris, my first impressions were so different from the romantic visions we have. I got out of the station and it was mostly empty because the local trains weren't running. And there was this one young black boy playing the piano so beautifully. And actually it was about 12:30 or 1 a.m. I'm not sure. I was so tired, but I was also so delighted, and he was playing such nice music. I just sat down and listened to him for about 10 minutes. And that was my first 10 minutes in Paris.